Today we are going to be talking about The Good Place, BoJack Horseman, and Narcos, Season 2. So stay tuned. Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. And this is our Tube Talk segment.
Sure enough.
And we talk about the tubes.
The tubes.
Yeah.
Tubular.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Joel Cunningham, how you doing today?
Doing good. Very nice. I'm looking forward to talking about... I'm doing very nice, Matt.
Doing very nice.
Yes.
Okay.
I forget how to speak
Super.
all of my words.
Yeah.
I'm doing good, Matt. I'm
Good.
Excited to talk about a couple of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, we made that discovery. You made a good discovery this week.
I did.
Yeah.
And I feel like I rarely make the good discoveries.
For TV,
Yeah.
you've got some good picks for films, I think.
Yeah, but like for TV, I was like, hey, I'm going to try this show out.
Yeah.
And then we watched it and I was like, hey, that was decent.
Wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so good.
Cool.
Overall. Yeah,
Yeah.
happy. I'm
Good
well
day.
satiated.
Good to hear. It's all good. So real quick,
Yes.
how about you tell people how they can get connected with us
I can do that.
in the tube world?
I want to do that. Sure.
Do it. Make it happen.
Yeah, so you can get connected to us on our website, which is realreviewmedia.com. Check us out there. You've also got the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/realreviewmedia. We have Instagram, we have Twitter, which are both at realreviewmedia, and would love to get connected with you there. And then additionally, we would love to get emails from all of you, our listeners, knowing what we're doing right,
Yeah.
what we're doing wrong. Probably not. but
Preferably right.
yeah, and so you can email us at realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Do that. Make that happen.
Love to know about it, yeah.
Let us know what's going on in that world.
Yeah, your phone is just blowing up there.
I
Matt.
know. It's crazy. I'm in this group message and I've literally gotten like 25 messages in the last 2 minutes.
Really?
There's like 18 people in this group. I don't know. Anyways.
I automatically try and delete myself from anything like that these days.
Yeah, you know what? I can't do that right now just because my mind is so focused on the tubes that we're
Yeah.
going to talk about.
I will say this. I got a really sweet chain letter. The first time and only time I've ever gotten like a chain message,
Okay.
where those people
Yeah.
copy paste them, and it literally just said like, "Hey, I just wanted to send you a message saying that I care about you and you're a nice person." And
Well, that's
you know.
lovely.
Yeah, usually they're like, "Repost this 15 times or else you're gonna die."
I know.
You know,
Like, don't
Yeah.
put that on somebody. Come on,
I know.
man.
Don't put that on me.
That's
Yeah.
messed up.
Right.
So so what you and I were talking about as far as the find,
Yes.
Tube Talk,
It's a
and
glorious-
the find that I found.
Glorious show.
We're only one episode in, but we just started watching The Good Place, and I don't know. I just was kind of like, what's new on Netflix that I can watch that we can talk about? And
And this is NBC, right?
I don't know.
I thought it was NBC. We can check.
We can
Keep
check.
talking. Yeah.
However-
TV network, NBC.
Okay, sweet. So I
Came out September 19th, 2016.
I just start playing this thing, watching it, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
And very like smart. And just it's just really high concept. It's really entertaining. So let me kind of go over a synopsis with you a little bit. And the IMDb synopsis is very like vague, but essentially it's a woman struggles to define what it means to be good. And it was created by Michael Schur, stars Kristen Bell, William Jackson Harper. It also has Ted Danson, Jamil,
Jamila
and
Jamil.
among others, but it's essentially this lady who ends up in what she would think heaven to be, but it's not really heaven. It's the afterlife is what they call it.
Yeah.
And
The Good Place.
the good place. That's
Right.
what they call it. There's a good place and there's a bad place. She
Very
ended
simple,
up
yeah.
in the good place, and it ends up being for like the ultra like elite, the people, and it's like weighed upon like how much good you've done in your life. Like for example,
Yeah.
they give this diagram at the beginning of the show. Okay, first of all, Tube Talk, we spoil things. So they give this diagram at the beginning of the show saying, so he's basically explaining the point system.
Right. It's like karma.
Right. And
big
so
karma
there's
thing.
this one, I'm sure there's a lot of funny ones, but like it shows someone getting deducted points because they used Facebook as a verb.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw
Like, they
that.
deduct points.
That was
based on
really
that.
funny. Yeah.
They have a lot of little
Yeah.
comedy
It was
things
like
in
you
here.
get points if you politely took a spider and placed it outside. Did you
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that one? It's like you
yeah,
get
yeah.
points for that. I was like, nah, I lost points.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
It's really clever. It's really funny. Kristen Bell is in it, and at first you're like, oh, she's this like really nice person, and then a twist happens, and then you're like, oh, she's not such a nice person, and they do these flashbacks
Yeah.
from when she's in the good place here to when she was like on Earth before she died. And you get a sense of who her character is a little bit. And it's kind of funny, just her outrageous, like, rudeness, you know?
Yeah, I think so. They set up a good initial character. It's kind of a fish out of water story.
Yeah.
Where she's obviously the odd one out.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, she's the cause of a lot of misery and pain,
Right.
I think, for the people around her. But because of it, she's also going to end up suffering quite a bit. And I think this will be heavily built on the side characters that are going to come in, that are all probably either like the goody two shoes or their own sense of like wrong, but in a good way.
Right.
That she's going to, butt heads with.
Right.
So I'm enjoying it. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it caught me as very obvious.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you call in the industry high concept.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was subtle in
Yeah.
a lot of its ways that it kind of played on jokes and expectations.
Yep.
And, the explanation of the stoner dude that figures out 95% of what heaven's all about.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. And he's got like a photo of him on the wall, and he looks like just like a stoner dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, stuff like that. Yeah.
It was funny. I had a good time. I'm actually really excited to keep watching it. And they're short too. It's not like an hour episode. It's a 26-minute thing.
Yeah, very short. I think there's 26 episodes the season. That's
13.
Okay, 13.
Yeah.
Oh, there's 2 seasons. That's why.
Is there?
So, yep, there's 2
What?
seasons. But I don't know if they're going to have that on Netflix anytime soon. So.
Okay. So it's just so I'm behind definitely.
Yeah. So it's showing on IMDb that there's 26 episodes out from 2016 to 2018. So it means there's
gotcha.
13 episodes per season. So yeah.
Obviously it did well enough in the first season to keep going. So
It did, yeah. And maybe we'll be able to track down the other 13 somehow.
Cool. I really enjoyed it. Just as a pilot episode, just kind of the ability that gave me to grin. I mean, kind of keep me happy. I give it like 8.5.
Yeah, I think, probably give it a similar one. I think Kristen Bell, she plays a great fish out of water kind of character. And
for
she's
sure.
got a good humor style. And I haven't seen Ted Danza in anything in a really long time.
Yeah.
So I thought he was really good in it as well. And
he was in Damages the last time I saw him.
Okay.
And he was just a terrible person in that show.
Gotcha. Mostly it's got Adam Scott in some of the episodes as well, I think.
Oh, okay.
But for the most part, it's a lot of unknown. And that's kind of what they do with a lot of these shows is they'll put relatively unknowns with 1 or 2 really big names.
Yeah.
That's kind of how they do with a lot of these shows.
Yeah,
so.
like William Jackson Harper. I like him. He's kind of like, he thinks he finds his soulmate, and it turns out it's not her at all.
Yeah.
And he's like supposed to be in like the good place where nothing's going to go wrong or be bad or ever again.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there like, I have a stomachache.
Yeah.
I'm in the good place. Why do I have a stomachache?
I'm wondering if they're going to go down that obvious path of making him like the romantic interest. I feel like they work better together as like buddies. I don't see them as like romantic partners in any way. And it would almost be funnier if they both had their own interests, but they couldn't be with that person because of the issues of
I could see them being like friends or something like that, or buddies.
We'll see.
Yeah, cool. Anyways, awesome. Well, that takes us to the next show that we get a chance to talk about. And I actually haven't seen it. I know about it because my boy Aaron Paul does the voice of one of the dudes in it.
Yes.
But
he is an amazing character.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking about BoJack Horseman. You want to break it down for us?
Yes, I will break it down for you. So BoJack Horseman, the synopsis for this is meet the most beloved sitcom horse of the 90s 20 years later.
Okay.
BoJack Horseman was the star of the hit Hollywood TV show Horsin' Around, but today he's a washed up, living in Hollywood, complaining about everything and wearing... but today he's washed up, living in Hollywood, complaining about everything and wearing colorful sweaters. The creator is Raphael Bob Waxberg. I'm hoping I got that.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I'm hoping I got that name right. So it's got the voice acting of Will Arnett as BoJack Horseman, which in of itself, Will Arnett is great.
Yeah.
Just great with his voice acting and his characterizations. Aaron Paul, sure enough, as Todd Chavez. You've got Amy Sedaris, who's Princess Caroline, who's kind of a... So I'll give a brief synopsis of the character as well. So Aaron Paul is BoJack's kind of... He's like a stoner without being a stoner.
Sure.
Best friend who kind of lives on his couch, and he's kind of like an idiot savant, if you will. He has a very weird personality that he's always excited about stuff. He's like, wow, that's so cool. And he gets taken advantage of by pretty much everybody. Okay. And so he doesn't work for a living. He's kind of like a hippie.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he does smoke.
Okay. And
I think that's how they kind of connect with each other is a lot of smoking in the beginning. But he's like a nice guy though, and he's a stoner and he gets abused. And so he's really good friends with BoJack, and BoJack kind of abuses him and takes advantage of the friendship that they have.
Yeah.
Princess Carolyn, played by Amy Sedaris, is a manager, and she's his manager, and so she helps him to get gigs. She might start out as an agent and then move into a manager.
Okay.
But she helps him to get gigs and everything like that. But BoJack he was on the very famous television show Horsing Around, which is kind of like I don't know, Modern Family or something like that. It's like it's not it's one that's staged filmed in live. It's a sitcom, so it's filmed in front of live studio audience, and it takes you back to like All in the Family days or something like that, where there was an audience and they were like cheesy jokes, and he's like the father figure to these two young kids in the television show.
Like Full House-ish?
Kind of like Full House.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the jokes are very much like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's more than I think there's actually 3 young kids, and he's kind of like the father figure for them, and becomes really famous and popular, even though it's like pretty much everybody thinks it's stupid and horrible, like Full House.
Yeah.
And so that becomes super popular, and then it goes off the air, and then he kind of unwinds, if you will. And most of the characters from that show, as is very common, often, Bob Saget. It's like you don't really have another career because you've been pegged as this character
until Netflix reboots it.
Right, until Netflix reboots it, right? And so you also have Alison Brie, who plays Diane Nguyen, who's kind of a voice of reason, if you will. She's kind of like the Brian of the show. She's huge, very big on like the political causes. She's kind of like a very strong liberal-minded. She wants to be like social activist and vegan and don't harm the animals, and you're polluting the earth and all this stuff, like very strong on those causes. And she's kind of a voice of reason for BoJack, and BoJack kind of initially has an interest in her, and that kind of changes over time. And then you have Paul F. Tompkins, who plays Mr. Peanut Butter.
Okay.
And Mr. Peanut Butter. And so I will say this as well. Every character in the show, except for, at this point, Alison Brie's character, is a type of animal.
Okay.
But they're a anamorphic, I think that's the word, anamorphic, or
anthropomorphic.
Anthropomorphic, there you go, where they are an animal, but they have human-like qualities mixed with animal-like qualities.
Sure.
So Amy Sedaris is a cat. She's like a cat person, and so she'll like drink wines that are like cat flavored wines, and she, she'll like really love catnip, and she'll like all around her office she'll have like cat shaped posters and like a little thing in the background where it's like a toy that she can go play with. You know what I mean? But she talks and she walks and she's human in a lot of aspects. And then Paul F. Tompkins is basically a giant dog, and he's like your buddy. He's like, oh my gosh, he gets super excited about things, and he ends up becoming really good friends with Todd.
Aaron Paul's character.
Aaron Paul's character. And they kind of play off of each other perfectly because they both excite each other.
Yeah.
And they both come up with these really stupid inventions and ideas, and they kind of go on like different misadventures together. And that's one of the best. The dynamic between the two of them is one of the best things. So like they're constantly trying to figure out what they can do and what they can invent to like make money, and just for the heck of it. And so like they invent a Halloween shop that's open all year. And they're like, what if we invented a store that was like Halloween, but it was all year? And it like ends up becoming like super successful. You know what I mean? And
that's awesome.
The thing that I love about the show, the first episode or two is really difficult to get through.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, it's flat out awful.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first episode in particular, because you can kind of sense what they're going for, but they're not accomplishing it. They're trying to do a satire of sort of our the way that the industry works, but using animals and kind of parodying like an animal would, like a horse would neigh, a dog would bark, and trying to use those like animalistic type jokes to also like kind of flavor it with jokes about animals. And
Gotcha.
it's just the first episode, it's kind of the like lowest common denominator of that, where everything is super obvious. The jokes are very pandery. You kind of know, okay, well now they're going to make a joke about a dog because that guy's a dog, and now they're going to make a joke about a lizard because that person's a lizard. And over time though, over the course of the show, the jokes become much more complex.
Okay. And
they become much more layered and nuanced, and the way that they play up the different animal-like jokes become a lot better. And it's so instead of it just being like, hey, you're a cat, so you're going to meow now, like it becomes more like, okay, well, when she reacts badly to something, she meows, and that's like her thing, and it's unexpected because, she's human as well.
Yeah.
So that becomes much more nuanced and interesting. And I think the really good thing as well about the show is that the characters in and of themselves have very fulfilling or sad at times, dark story arcs.
Okay.
So BoJack is troubled but he's troubled for a lot of reasons because he comes from a very broken household.
Yeah.
And that gets explored, and you find out why his mother, like in this most recent season, they talk about season 4, why his mother was such a broken individual and the things that she went through in her childhood that led to her being such an abusive mother towards BoJack, which then plays itself out with BoJack and like the relationships that he has where he's constantly feeling like he's not good enough and he's constantly sabotaging himself, and he knows that about himself and he's trying to stop it, but he can't stop it. And that plays over out of the course of 4 seasons. And so like Alison Brie's character Diane is this kind of, as much as she's like she's very self-righteous, she's very like wants to tell other people how it is, and that plays out very negatively in a relationship because she ends up marrying Mr. Peanut Butter.
Okay.
Because he's super positive.
Yeah.
To the point where, and sometimes it's a joke because he's like, he just stumbles into really happy, good things all the time because he's like oblivious to the world around him.
Yeah.
And he almost has it the best, but he still has really bad stuff happen to him because of people like BoJack, because of people like Diane. They're very negative and pessimistic about themselves and about the world around them. And so it's just it plays a really cool, like kind of sides.
Nice.
Some people are optimistic, and then there's pessimistic, and then those kind of butt heads with each other, then mixed with better and better humor in regards to like the animal human. There's an entire episode. They've really been trying with some different animation styles as well. There's an entire episode that took place last season, Under the Water, where BoJack does this project where he's trying to like push himself out of that people knowing him as like, BoJack the Horseman from Horsing Around. And they do a premiere of it under the water in like the Sea World. And so there's no talking throughout the entire thing because they're underwater. And so you can hear them like going, like yelling at each other, but the entire thing is underwater. And so you never even really you get subtitles at some points because people use sign language and stuff.
Yeah.
But the entire thing for the most part is quiet. You know what I mean? And he ends up connecting with this little baby seahorse. And the whole thing is he's trying to take the baby seahorse back to his dad.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so it sounds weird in a sense, but it's really, at times it can be very heart-wrenching because you see the characters make decisions and you get connected with them over time and they really make bad decisions.
Yeah.
And sometimes they deal with the repercussions of it. So like a really hilarious episode in the most recent one. So Mr. Peanut Butter wants to run for governor of the city of California. And so he starts having this platform where he's like trying to just appease the people, and he starts fracking on his land on his house because he's pro fracking, and so he's showing how safe it is, and it ends up causing an earthquake. And I'm not attacking fracking like what they were. And that is the one thing I would say about the show as well. I don't want to talk too much more about it, but there are times where it really floats too much into the social ideas and concepts.
Yeah.
And I think it absolutely is the best when it's just doing humor and the characters interacting with each other and people being stupid or pessimistic or optimistic and how that works out. There's times where it really floats way too heavily into the whole social commentary stuff. And I'm like, can you just leave that be?
Yeah.
I'd rather you just approach the humor for what it is, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
That happens. So like, the whole house collapses though, and it goes underground, and the characters end up forming like this underground, like society, if you will, based upon like who, they end up worshiping the fire because the fire has power, and like Zach Braff's in it, and he's constantly like walking around with a ticket that he wants to get validated. But it's funny because if you read into it, it's like he's constantly wanting validation. So he's always going around with the ticket for his card. He's like, "Will somebody please validate me? I just need to get validated for." And it's like they play off of like things like that. It gets a lot more clever over the course of the thing. And so Mr. Peanut Butter's running for governor, and so he and the governor, the real governor, end up getting stuck in this house together, and it becomes this like war of who's going to be in charge and stuff. And so it's really clever, and it's really fun and how they do different things.
That's awesome.
So I'll say it's not for kids.
Yeah.
It's definitely...
It's animated, but not kids.
Yeah, it definitely has language. It's Netflix, so they don't cut out any of their cursing. I don't think there's really any nudity. There definitely is like people getting it on and stuff at different scenes, but they don't really like show anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like R-rated, but they make sexual jokes all the time. They don't hold back when it comes to the cursing. And there's definitely adult ideas and concepts and things and themes that happen throughout it. But very funny. I would definitely encourage you for sure, if you're going to watch it, approach it like the first couple episodes are going to be hard to get through.
Okay.
And they're going to be kind of like torturesome. But then once you get past that and you really get invested in the characters, it turns into a really good show.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, very popular.
Nice.
Doing really good things on Rotten Tomatoes as well. It's at an 88% approval, and each season is getting more and more popular. So the first season was at 60, and then it went to 100 and 100 and at 93 now, and I think it's getting better and better. And the last season they just had, it actually ended really well for the first time.
Awesome.
Because they've constantly been ending really morbidly, and the first time it kind of ends on a positive note. And you're like,
cool.
Hey, good things can happen too. So yeah,
That's awesome.
That's all I want to say. I would say rating so far out of the 4 seasons, I would put it at like an 8.9, almost 9 out of 10.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really high.
Okay. So that's awesome. It's good to hear if you want to check out BoJack Horseman. Now, this next show that we're going to talk about, you've already had a chance to talk about for a little bit. So we already got the breakdown.
I kind of introed it.
You introed it.
Yeah.
And it's Narcos. You specifically finished season 2, right?
Yes.
So what's new? Is it still rocking and rolling?
Yeah. This was an amazing season. So
okay.
I think it got better.
Oh, awesome.
It's really difficult to do that. I don't know, maybe not difficult to do that, but it is difficult to do. But the way that they set things up in the first season, there was such a great amount of tension with the characters, and you were so invested in finding out what happened with Pablo Escobar, what happens with the DEA agents, what happens to the people that are down there. You get invested almost in each of the other people that work for Pablo and his whole group of like all the different narcos that are down there kind of take on their own characterization. And you really do become invested in finding out kind of how this plays out, because Pablo's like the main character without being the main character. And the really crazy thing about the show is that this isn't the crazy thing, but it's called Narcos for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not just about Pablo, because Pablo's story, in a way, and I don't want to spoil what happens because I think it's important to watch it for the first time, kind of comes to a close in a certain fashion.
Okay.
And you know that there's going to be continual ongoing things throughout the second season or throughout the third season, but by the second season you're kind of like this doesn't just tell the story of Pablo Escobar, and he is an amazing character in the show. I mean, it's weird how you simultaneously hate the guy over the course of the season, but this kind of shows in a way almost the rise and fall. It's like the Breaking Bad story.
Yeah.
It's like the rise and the fall of a person, but then the ongoing impacts that will have, the ongoing stories of the people that are like trying to deal with this and how they're like falling apart and trying to like hold everything together, and the extent that they'll go to do really bad things to make good things happen.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
In the world of the DEAs and the narcos down in Colombia. And I don't want to, in just talking about it, I just wanted to briefly kind of bring it up again and say that second season is even better than the first.
That's awesome.
I would really encourage you, Matt, to definitely check it out.
Hearing that, there's some stuff I can get some time to.
I know,
totally
and it's tough because I've kind of already talked about it a little bit.
I know.
But I'm trying to not spoil anything too much. I'm really excited to see where they go with season 3, though. There's some tension moments that are built up in the second season as far as what's going to happen with Pablo, what's going to happen with some of the DEA agents at times, what's going to happen with the people that are connected to, Pablo and the narcos and the Colombian cartel. It's just like, I never thought that I would be that interested in finding out what a bunch of drug dealers did.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
In a very strange way.
Unless you're Brendan Fraser in Bedazzled.
Yeah, there
remember
you go.
That? You remember that?
I do remember that.
He's like, I'm really speaking Spanish.
Yeah, I do remember.
Anyways.
That. Yeah, but it tells a really good story. And that's the best thing that I can say about it. The action is just okay, but it tells a really significant, really impactful, tension-building, amazing story.
Cool.
So
I might have to check that out then.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight one last time and say that second season even better.
Cool.
Still growing.
That's awesome. Well, that's going to wrap up our Tube Talk segment of these TV shows that we had a chance to check out. But we do want to hear from you, so reach out to us and let us know if you watch these, if you recommend anything else. You can do that at realreviewmedia@gmail.com, and also connect with us on our website, realreviewmedia.com, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, @realreviewmedia, and make it happen and just let us know what's up and get connected. We're always posting stuff up on there all the time. So, Joel, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I will say this. I would love to hear some other people's opinions on BoJack.
Yeah.
If anybody else there has been watching it or checks it out, I'd love to hear, because I feel a bit dorky while liking it as much as I do. But
it's okay, dude. I like Naruto, so whatever.
That is true.
So it's all good.
Are you gonna do that Naruto run on the ridge?
Yeah,
they're doing here in Phoenix.
Probably not. I'm not limber enough. No, I'm totally limber enough. But whatever.
It would be epic.
Yeah.
We'll have to post it. If you do it, get a video. We'll post it to our website.
Okay.
There you go.
Good to know. But no, anything else?
No, that's all.
Guess what, guys? It's been real.
It's been real.